You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Okay, welcome back to Pro Booth Talk. My name is Jason Wiley. I've got with me always co-host Lap Lee.
Buddy.
We've got a guest host in the virtual studio with us today, Rex. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Rex Haung in the
Hi, Rex.
Pro Booth Talk. Been wanting to come on for quite a while, so thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. So
we wanted to get Rex on in the very beginning, but we also knew right at the front we were going to do a couple episodes around PBX, and I felt like that was a good time to kind of fit you in because I want to talk about what you're doing on your YouTube channel and things like that as well, but as far as PBX, you become pretty much like a staple
celebrity.
Celebrity. You've got a very unique reputation. So how did that come about? How did that get started? Tell me about your PBX rep.
Yeah, that just built over time. I wouldn't really call it celebrity because that's not what I'm into. I'm into what you guys are into, is education, and I consider myself more of a journalist. And that came about from the groups that we're in together. I started with, oh my God, I can't make it to PBX this year. What did you guys see? What's new, right? That's always the big question, January or February. And I've been a trade show warrior my entire life. I worked for Fortune 500 companies. Apple, Samsung was one of my accounts at the time. And
oh, wow.
I worked for Belkin Components. We sold cables. And so, going to trade shows was like a big deal for me. It was a chance to get out of the house, and the Facebook groups was such an outlet for me to be able to film and share what I saw. I don't gatekeep. A lot of people are into gatekeeping. They're not into educating. I do it because I think the industry needs it. And I'm not into admonishing anybody. I get to sit in my own studio or walk down the aisle of a trade show and say, look, guys, take a look at this. Look at the sketch bots. What do you guys think about the sketch bots? Let me get Al or whoever, or Bose, to tell us a little bit about it, because I'm seeing it for the first time, just like you. It's not pre-recorded or preempted. These guys don't have a lot of time to give me. So, a majority of my videos, 5 or 10 minutes, as if you were there. So that's really how I got started.
And it's kind of evolved to you've got a very well-established reputation as like the selfie guy. Like when I'm getting drinks at the bar, people will say like, hey, have you got a selfie with Rex yet? It's like one of the must-do things at PBX. You go to PBX, you take a photo in the hallway laying down.
You weren't really at PBX. You weren't really at PBX unless Rex got that photo of you.
Yes. I'll be really honest how that really started is I've been to every single PBX since it started. And the selfie thing came as about because, honestly, I'm terrible with names. But I'm terrible. If I create a whole post and I tag everybody, then I could go back and look at everybody's names and faces from the year before. So that happened accidentally.
That's smart.
I never wanted to become a celebrity or the selfie king. Forget all that.
The selfie king? Is that your nickname? The selfie king?
We're not forgetting that. We're you got to own it, man. You got to own it.
Honestly. And then the following year, the subsequent year, they're like, "Oh, aren't you doing it?" Like people I didn't even know. I don't even know that they're like, "Oh yeah, you answered one of my questions online," and I don't have time to look at people's profiles. I really don't. And they would just go, "Hey, we need to take a selfie. You helped me so much with this," and then it just continued. It just snowballed from there. Trust me, Jason, there was no business plan involved in it. It just happened.
Well, all business
really cool.
aside, I mean, it's good exposure and good branding, and your name is, I mean, you're already well known, like you mentioned, because you're always online helping people out. But PBX aside, anyone there knows that they've got to get a selfie with their ex before they leave.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I feel it's really cool too because there's a lot of people that you maybe know online where you just know them by their profile picture, but when you meet them, you don't realize it's the same person because
It's different, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Even if it actually looks like them, you still don't register that you're meeting the person in real life. So it's really cool your selfies because you're like, okay, I saw them. I didn't realize that was
That was
so
you. And
yeah.
and that's cool. And so hundreds, just like you guys walk around. We met so many friends there. We met so many people there that became friends, and we don't talk to them. They're not our neighbors. We only see them online, and then we only see them in person once a year. And PBX is it, and that's kind of like my memory book. Like, who did I meet?
Yeah.
What do they do? And I'll it's kind of like networking tips is like make a little note on the back of their business card, like, oh, what did you guys talk about, or how did you meet? And I'll say, oh, this is the phone guy, or this is the robot guy, and I'll make little notes in there, and I'll go back and I actually do look at it. So I was like, oh, I haven't seen this person for a while. Where have they been? And that's how that
awesome.
evolved. Yeah, it was non-intentional.
Well, I love things that are non-intentional and kind of grow organically, and it has over the years.
Yeah, we all look for those selfies.
You do? Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
we are going to take a selfie, and it'll be the Pro Booth Talk photo, and we're going to do a video for my channel as well. I already know in my head like what I'm going to record when I get there, and the one is I want to get your firsthand reactions of what you saw and what you think the trend for the year will be. So we're going to record ours in February. I think that would be great.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. We'll go. I got spots in. I think hopefully it's at South Point. I have spots where there's carpet and no echo, and I hopefully got all the sound.
February is definitely in South Point.
Yeah.
Definitely at South Point. So PBX aside, tell us about Rex's photo booth reviews and tutorials. What you're doing over on, I mean, we know that you're on Facebook giving tips and whatnot, but you've got a lot of very elaborated and fleshed out tips on YouTube.
Yeah. So it started from the Facebook groups. I see people just needing help. Sometimes you try to help them, they get really defensive, and this is a chance for me to avoid that. It got to a point where I'm watching online, and I was like, wow, this person was really mean. Like, don't you know? Like, I don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't do it. So
it's funny because the worst is a lot of times they ask and then you answer and they get upset that you're answering their question like that.
Exactly. I'm trying to help. Yeah. So I decided to just go off in my own corner, in my own studio. Like, I don't share this with anybody else. It's my studio, and I can record, and then people will send me products to review, and it's perfect. And this way I have a chance to play with it. I can go into detail. I think people are treating, if you treat photo booth a little bit like cooking, so you do cookbook style first, 2 teaspoons of this, 1 teaspoon of that, and you just go down the line, then it clicks with them. And then other times it'll be, I know I asked you this. How do you print from this program again? I don't have time to repeat things twice.
Yeah, just link it.
Oh, dude, here's the link. And then this is how you know if they really want to help themselves. Because I'm a big believer of helping people who want to help themselves. I don't believe in spoon feeding, but I see people out there who really want to learn. And this is one way for me to do it. I cookbook it. I go step by step. I help somebody once. I record it. I've helped tens of thousands of people. I think my record now is like 46,000. I have one video.
Wow.
46,000 views.
Wow.
And this doesn't mean
congratulations.
Click it. Yeah. It's like people who actually watch it. You have to be the YouTube algorithm. You have to be in it like at least 3 minutes for it to register. So it's not like some kid in India just constantly clicking on it, clicking on it, and just pumping up the views. It doesn't work like that. It's truly organic, and it is monitored by YouTube. And I feel like I've helped this many people, but I only had to record it once. Well, actually not. I recorded several times and made many edits. You guys know it's never first take.
We don't re-record.
No, we are very
good for you, because it takes time.
That was
Yeah.
I used to do re-recordings and cut things up and try to make things super nice and polished when I was doing the podcast before, but that was one of the caveats about redoing it and bringing it back.
But you are a perfectionist. It's who you are, Jason.
Yeah, but it just took so much of my time. Like an hour podcast would take like 4 hours of editing and stuff.
Woo!
So it just
for me, I would say from scripting to getting each cable and taking each item out and then recording and hitting play, listening, I'll go, oh man, that didn't sound right. Why did I say that? To the time I actually export, process, and post, it's almost 8 hours per video.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's a lot of work.
How long?
Nope. All the stumbling and fumbling you hear me, that's all recorded.
Yeah, so we keep it super easy now because I don't want to spend that time. And also, when I was recording in the past, there was no AI. So when I was editing, I had to take out like every 3-second gap, every second half gap, every So I was cutting all that out, and now AI does that all for you, you know. So right away, with the click of a button, within like 10 seconds, every gap that is a second and a half is completely gone. Every filler word is completely gone. So the only, like, I have a pad of paper here that, like, if somebody says, oh no, I probably shouldn't have said that, cut that out, or someone mentions a brand and we didn't really get permission for that brand to be mentioned or something, I'll write it down and we'll go and just crop that portion out. But that's it. Then I add the front end and the back end. So the editing of each podcast for me right now takes me like maybe 15 minutes each.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And that's and that's crucial. There's no way I could do that if it took any longer.
Yeah. Well,
so
it's different for me, right? Because for me, it's about the details. Like
because
in the menu.
It's video. Like we
Yeah.
have the video so people could watch us talk if they want, but we're just talking.
Yeah.
But you're showing instruction.
Yeah.
You need to be able to bring the camera in and show detailed things. So it's completely different.
But you know, you guys
So
got
us is more conversational. For us, it's just we don't want to cut that out. Yeah.
But this is what I want to know.
We don't do what you do at all. Like we're not doing any tutorials. We're not ever going to tell you how to print from SnapPick. We're not doing, like, we'll give you our opinion, but we're not going to review something. That's your territory. You're already doing that good. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We just, like, people we talk to people at places like PBX and they talk about the value that they had from just like talking shop and just hearing what
different
other boothers are doing. And that's kind of what we want to bring to the table. Just chatting about topics. So.
I can detail and review and tutorial all we want, but one thing I don't cover as often, and I guess maybe I'm gatekeeping a little bit, is what you guys do, which is the business a photo booth. You guys talked about SEO and Lap. You're telling me how you hate it, but your business is through the roof. But you never went into the detail about what is it that makes your company so successful, you know? And I like this because these are kind of like the side conversations that you have at PBX. So when people go, oh, is it really worth it to go? Like, who doesn't want to go to Vegas? What's wrong with you? You know, I mean, Jake, you are already there, right? But
there's a lot of people that don't know that, though. They don't know that there's these conversations that are happening. Like, they're just seeing it like, oh, they're just having breakfast. But there's so much more when you're having breakfast with people. Yes,
that's what you learn the most. And that's when you create the relationships for your white labels or partnerships. I mean, nationwide, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's not just what you get on the floor, but it's also the breakfasts and the dinners and
the after parties.
The after parties. Karaoke, barbecue. But, and let me guys tell you, if you guys don't know, Lap is a party animal. She's karaoke queen.
Up all night.
So, I might take selfies. That's cool. And I'm in bed by 9. Or I'm editing, at 10 o'clock. But Lap, she's like on the mic, karaoke. That's her thing. So, and
that's funny.
Jason has this program that's very dear to his heart, which is he always gives to this nonprofit. And I went 1 year. It was wow.
What is that? Monday Dark, right? Monday
Yeah,
Dark,
Monday
Jason?
Dark is what it's called.
Yeah.
Which one did I go to? It wasn't Dolly Parton. It was
Olivia
the girl
Newton-John
from
was the
Greece,
theme
the
to
lady
that
from
one. Yeah,
Greece.
Olivia Newton-John.
Yes. Yeah, that was really awesome. And it was a packed house.
Yeah, so essentially what Rex is talking about is there is a local, if you're in Vegas or you're visiting Vegas, there's a place called The Space who hosts a, I guess like a variety show
Industry
every
night?
2 weeks.
No, not
Yeah,
a
so
mystery night.
so
Not that
every
kind
other
of show.
Monday, essentially, they take a lot of talent from the Strip because they're off on Mondays. The shows are dark on Mondays,
is
which is
Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how the name Mondays Dark came, because their Mondays are dark. They're not doing their shows, so they just kind of come. They pick a new theme every show, and like we just went to one that was pink
It's
last
weekly,
week.
right? So there's 52 shows.
It's every
a year?
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And the 2 weeks before that was Disney Songs of the Mouse. Like, so they're all Disney themed songs. So every 2 weeks it's different. Yeah, and that was fun. And you never know what you're going to get. You could have Lounge Act from Boulder Highway, or you could have a Cirque performer or someone from Zombie Burlesque, like getting off their show because they actually aren't dark on Mondays, running over and singing a song and then splitting. They usually have like an interview with someone that's local in our industry, like Wayne Newton was there having an interview a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
So it's a really cool experience, and every 2 weeks when they do it, they raise $10,000 for a local charity that all stays in our community. So it's a really awesome way to give back. So when those 2 weeks line up with PBX, right? I buy out a whole bunch of tables and invite different people that are attending PBX to come watch this really unique show to Las Vegas. Like, there's tons of cool shows on the Strip to go see, but this is like a local secret that's just really, really awesome that you're not going to see anywhere else.
I think it was like $40, or it was very affordable.
Yeah, you can go for as cheap as 20 and sit in like the cheap seats, which are just seats, or you could get a table, which we do, which is like I think the tables are like 35, and then like
Still
fees
cheap.
and stuff, it's like 40.
Yeah. And one year, the year I went, I remember, was it you that rented us that party bus?
No, that was Mark. I'm not sure his last name because on Facebook he has it marked as Rushmore. So Mark Rushmore complimented everybody. For getting that transportation for everyone. That was really cool.
Yeah. So instead of us taking like 5 different Ubers there, he rented a party bus, and we got to know everybody. And I was really glad to see like guys like Alan Berg. Alan Berg is just a rock star speaker who I.
And he came with us, so that was cool to have Alan in the bus with us and be able to talk to him outside of the expo.
Phenomenal, and I think he's good friends with Jason, and so he went.
I'm having dinner with him on this Sunday.
That was awesome. That was so awesome. But tell me this, right? Including you, Lap. Everybody gets hit up for the whole nonprofit thing, and how, and I know Catalina did this whole multi-page questionnaire. How did you get involved with Mondays After Dark, and why was that your choice of nonprofit to donate to?
So I donate to a lot of different charities that we don't really make public. We just kind of participate where we can and do what we can locally. So it's just something that I've always kind of been passionate about. Mondays Dark. So when I was president of the Vegas Wedding Chamber, our charity, who was our chair, it just happened to be named Charity also. She was looking for a charity that the organization could, as a group, participate in 1 week. And she saw this thing called Mondays Dark. That theme that week was Aerosmith, and
nice.
Invited everyone to go and just watch a show, and tickets go to charity. The ticket prices go to charity. So me and my wife said, yeah, we like Aerosmith. We'll go watch some people sing Aerosmith. So we went, and it was a phenomenal show. Like, the host is kind of like a local celebrity. He's the hype guy for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's the guy that's on the microphone, getting everyone excited and playing the games with everybody. One of the the onstage singers is Carnell Johnson, who is Golden Pipes. He sings our national anthem at our Golden Knights games. Then we got Paige, who is also one of the backup singers, who is a local celebrity in her own right in several different bands singing on Fremont Street and stuff. So we saw a bunch of people on stage that we were already familiar with, and it was just so much fun. The guy's hilarious. It's a really fun show. And really quickly, me and my wife started attending every 2 weeks, and just seeing all these charities every 2 weeks, another 10,000, another 10,000. And we just wanted to be part of it however we could. So we got a hold of Mark and just said,
like 5 years?
So they're having their 11th year anniversary in December this year. So they've been doing it for
Aerosmith, though. Well, that was what got you hooked. But how long ago?
Yeah, that was my first show, and that was like 2.5 years ago that I've been going, and we partnered with them just a few months after that, and we donate to them. We donate booths to their annual show. We donate they've got a long-term lease set up in their front office there, and we donate that 100% to help them kind of raise awareness on social media. We participate with them in any way that we're able to. We also have like a $500.
Are you doing a Mondays After Dark meetup this year, 2025? Should people be looking for that?
That all depends. They don't release their schedule until December. Well, until their anniversary show. So because it's every 2 weeks, it depends on if it lines up with PBX or not. So in December, I will know if there's a show that lines up with PBX. And if it does, then I'm sure we'll try to do it again.
All right. What about you, Lap? What charities you give into? You give into the puppies?
I usually lean into like children's. Like we donated to I can't remember their name. It's been some years.
Your kids' school?
I do donate to my kids' school.
We all do that one.
Especially for Halloween. Yeah, but Halloween has gotten so demanding with events that I haven't been able to do it for the past few years. But I try to do it for at least like Mother's Day. I feel like that's a big holiday that I want to donate to. We used to do it for, I want to say the Children's Bureau, but we lost that contact a few years back. But anything related to like children and hospitals, I usually lean that direction.
Did you one time CHOC, Children's Hospital of Orange County?
I haven't done CHOC. I think it was the children. It's my mother-in-law worked for, I want to say it's the Children's Bureau. It's been some time though. But we would donate to their annual event where they had they would rent out the boardwalk at Santa Monica, and they would have all the games free, and all the kids came out. So we would participate in that. But I'm very selective of the
right. So this is I think people really want to know. While we're talking, we're just hanging out at the bar, right? No drinks though. What would motivate you to give? Is it when somebody asks? Or you just organically go, I'm all about you, like Wu-Tang. I'm all for the kids. How do you?
For me, it's if it's something personal. So for me, like I like kids that are in like abusive homes, like that really touches me. So I don't do anything when I donate. It's not for like there's no exposure dollars for that. It's just giving back and being able. I've donated to. So it's case by case for me. But I've done like quince. I've donated to like a quince. I don't remember what the event was because it's always brought to me last minute. But like some girls who are they don't normally have the ability to do quinces. An organization put together a whole event and invited all the girls out, and they got dresses. They got to experience the quince.
That's cool.
So we donated a booth so that they could have their own like photo booth at their quince. So stuff like that. So it's always a case by case. Yeah, and when it speaks to me is when I donate. It's usually. But when charities reach out just assuming that we're going to donate, we have staff to pay. There has to be a personal reason why if you're just reaching out because you have a charity of like, and you're inviting like 40 of your best friends just because, that means nothing to me.
What about the influencer that has 30,000 followers?
Yeah,
favorite, right?
we have a me and Jason have a podcast about that too.
Yeah, you go back and listen to that conversation.
Go back and listen to that, you guys, because it's pretty interesting.
Episode 23. Is that what it is?
Was it?
I have no
Was
idea.
it?
You don't keep track by number? How do you guys do
We
it?
do have numbers, but I have no idea which number that was
Oh, okay.
offhand. I'd have to go
Yeah.
check.
I always get approached by like social influencers because we're already in that space. But I mean, if it's always in the other podcast episode that we talk about, it's like you're always chancing it, and majority of the time it's not going to benefit you. Like you're just gonna attract more free events that want to get booked. But if you're approaching it where you're calculated, it can potentially benefit you. So it can swing both ways. I don't do donations for exposure because we already work with a lot of these influencers anyways.
Yeah,
we do
I
these events.
agree.
Yeah,
if someone reaches out to me, it's almost always a no. We've got historically, pretty much since I've started, there's an association called NPHY, which is the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, that I've always participated willingly with them because, like Lab mentioned, that's something that is close to my heart and something relatable to me. So I've always participated with them, and even on our checkout page, people have the opportunity to donate to NPHY, and we match those donations. But Monday's Dark, I got aligned with them because it was an easy way to donate to a lot of things. I didn't have to do the research. Like, it's just one company, and then they kind of disperse that to a different organization every 2 weeks, and it works out really well. Another one that we donate to every year is something local called Hope for the Kids. It's a kid driven, it's a holiday thing. It's really awesome. They raise money throughout the year, and then kids with that can't afford these bigger holidays or whatnot, they fill out these forms and they get the ages of the kids and what toys they want and things like that. And then they, at this church, they have this long line of lights, that cars go and drive through, and it's like a Christmas thing that you drive through, and it's all festive, and they've got snow falling and things. And while parents are driving through that with their kids, they pop the trunk, and they've got people that go and like sneak these gifts into their trunk while they're driving through. So when they're done, all the gifts that were on the list. So we participate in that and do a couple events for them. And we are always on location as well as people are driving through. This year, we're going to bring our photo bus. Unfortunately, no one could actually use it there because, they stay in their cars, but it'd be a good way for us to kind of stay warm. We'll put a heater in the bus and just kind of hang out and just tell people Merry Christmas when they drive by and things like that. So generally things that are associated with kids, I guess. And also things that our partners are doing. Like if one of our planners that we work with reaches out and says, "Hey, I'm doing this charity. Will you work with me?" Then that's always like, a yes to. But
yeah. Anytime a planner reaches out, for me, it's an automatic yes. Yeah. But
as long as we have the availability, that if we don't,
Or I always end up, when we do charity or just non-paid events or even discounted events, it's usually always me, myself. My daughter wants the trick or treat instead of handy candy. She just, we have a photo booth. Come check it out, trunk or treat. So that's already a given. And the influencer stuff, I don't touch too much. Anything to do with cancer or Alzheimer's, I do, or I do discounted because, go figure, right? My mom passed away of cancer. My dad has Alzheimer's. So it's personal for me. So that's my motivation. I don't make them fill out a 3-page form because it's organic. It's close to me. It's dear to me.
Right.
And so those will do. I actually did one kid event. It was kind of interesting where, they came from an abused home, but then they would just want the print, but want the digital deleted because they just could not be found. So that was kind of interesting. So there are some caveats to doing events like that, where I guess maybe they're hiding out or what have you. So I thought those were kind of interesting, but I have done a few like that. And I've also worked with a local YMCA. Do you guys have those in your area?
Yeah.
So that one's cool because I used to hang out.
They do their
So those are my my nonprofit work. But like you, I don't advertise it. I just do it. I just do it because I want to be there. I'm going to be there anyway, whether it's the cancer walk or what is it? I've also done another one. It's called the Newport Film Festival. And, not everything.
Hey, I met a director that was flying there. When I was coming back from the UK, I met the guy that's sitting next to me was
Newport Film
premiere
Festival.
at that. Yeah. Well, I wanted to go. I wanted to go to that. He had invited me. I was like, oh man, I'm so busy.
Did you go? It's a cool event.
I didn't. I know I wanted to, but we had we had a bunch of stuff that we had.
So basically, a lot of them can pay for it. If you can make a film, you can pay for a photo booth. But we do it because we always bring out our new toys in November to try to test it out just in case something goes wrong. So, we recently got the photo booth robot, and so we'll try that there. Or, back in the day, a couple years back, I had an overhead 360 and I wanted to show that off. And, if something goes wrong, oh, well, you don't refund it. So sometimes I use events to test new activations or things that I've always
concepts.
Yeah. And they don't care. They just take whatever you give them. They just say, oh, that's cool. So they don't put, and they don't put demands around it. They just ask you to show up on time early, like anything else, and set it up and then just do your thing. So that's other than that, not too much. Yeah. No influencer stuff. And no just random, if I'm not into the nonprofit, then pretty much I don't give too much. I don't care if they did a 5-page report. I'm just not that.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I mean, that questionnaire that I got from Catalina, it largely is to disqualify people more than qualify them, because most people are just looking for a quick yes. When they see that form, they just go to the next photo booth company.
And there's nothing wrong with saying no. It doesn't make you a bad guy. It doesn't make you a bad business. You get to pick and choose. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, but one of the things is don't let them guilt you into it by saying you can write it off, because that's always the immediate response, that you can write off your...
What can you write off? Tell the truth. There's nothing to write. You can write off.
And they should know. They should know that you can't write it off.
I'm pretty sure they know.
Yeah, they've got to know.
Because that's the automatic response when they reach
I will give you a 501c letter, and you can submit it, but what did you other than cash, you can't really write off anything. You can't write off your service, unfortunately.
No, I mean, all you could write off are the things you are writing off anyways, your media costs, your labor, if you have staff there. So
don't be fooled, people. If they tell you could write it off, it's
you're not losing anything. Like if you could write it off, why don't you just say this was a special $200,000 event that we did for free? Just maximize the write off.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean that's just silly, but
don't fall for it.
Getting back to reviews and tutorials. So you full of tips. You always have a tip or some advice. I want to know on the flip side of that, what's a tip or some advice that you see in the industry often that you disagree with?
A tip? Not getting off the couch for a certain amount. Well, it's not my rate. I mean, if you're working on a regular basis, sure, right? But if you're not doing anything that week, hey, you need to negotiate because you have bills to pay. You have to assess the situation. What can I have 3 guys that are just sitting there and I'm still paying them, or I'm still paying for my phone. I'm still paying for the hotspots. I'm still paying off for the equipment. Sometimes it can be negotiable, just make it make sense for you. You don't have to be so hardline that, if I don't get my rate, then I'm not getting off the couch. I mean, you've got nothing going on anyway. So I really don't agree with that. I think you want to try to work as much as possible, but not whore yourself out or bring down the market, because some people will call and say, you're $100 an hour, but Rex, you're $300 an hour. You're so much more expensive. It kind of confuses the market. But I do understand that, and this is the tip, right? That everybody has a different model. There's this guy, I think he's your neighborhood lab, San Bernardino. He has this 3-page brochure. He's been advertising $99 an hour photo booths for like the last 7 years. Every time we look at it, we keep saying, don't worry, this guy will be out of business. This guy
He's been in business
And
for
he's still
years.
around.
10 years
He's been in
later,
business for
he's
years.
still handing out the same trifold. He's still,
I don't know him, but yeah,
you
he's
know who
still
I'm
in
talking
business.
about. Still
I
in,
know. I know the company. I don't know him, but I know that. So we talk about this a lot. Like we all have different markets. We all have different clientele. So your pricing is going to be different. So when someone sits there and says, I'm not, so I don't necessarily say I won't get off the couch for da da da, but I also know like what it
what you're
takes
worth.
to deliver my
Yeah.
event. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I know what it takes to deliver my event. I know what it takes for me to be profitable. And I also understand, I always talk about this, the opportunity cost. So for someone who does not consistently book business, that's different. You might have to work on how you're selling or how you're priced, because maybe you're pricing your booth at equivalent to what I'm pricing it,
Right.
but we're nowhere the same in terms of delivery. So maybe reassessing your business and your structure and your pricing, but you have to know where you fall in the market. So if your booth is a $500 photo booth, there's a reason why you can book those events for 500, where my company, we can't deliver a booth for 500 because we're not the same company as you. So it's when someone says I won't leave my couch, I feel like that's a very do you get what I'm saying? Like that's like a number that's not, it's you're setting a standard that's not a standard for everybody, because
It's not a
there's
standard
like
for you.
there's a subpar market, there's a competitive market, there's a premium market, there's a corporate market, and then there's everything beyond. So we all have different rates that make sense for us to get off the couch. Your rate might not be the same as my rate, but that's just because we have different operational costs. We have different structure. You know what I mean? So when someone sets like a certain amount, and we're also in different territories as well. I mean, like someone that's like, we talked to Coral, she's in Alaska. I mean, she kills it over there anyways. But I'm just saying, like, if you're in a more remote area, you're not going to be able to book maybe like a glam bot for XX dollars that in LA would be, pretty a little bit more common, So we all have that, and that goes back to your business plan and your structure. Yeah.
And there's value in reputation and branding, and you've spent a lot of time building that up. So, I mean, every business is going to be different and have to do things their own way. But I'm not going to say I won't get off my couch for a certain amount, but I certainly won't compromise my reputation for discounted things. We just had, and this was even for a planner recently, but it's someone that we don't work with very often, just texted me the other day and said, "Hey, can you help me out? My photo booth," it was actually a 360. My 360 company canceled on me last minute. "Can you do a 360 tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I sent her over a quote, and she called and said, "Hey, let me level with you. Like this client, I'm only charging this client $1,000. I don't need to make a profit at this point, but I can't pay what you quote me." And I was like, "Hey, man, like I can't. Like I appreciate that you're in a bind, and I will sacrifice my pricing and try to help you out, but I'm not doing this for $1,000. Like there's no way, because like at that point you're telling them that you can do these things for this amount, and you're basically just stealing the rest of the money from them. It's not really part of your business. So and we didn't do it. And I'm thinking, like, if you charged your client $1,000, then what did you pay the 360 company that canceled? And understand that that's why they canceled. Like that's why you shouldn't be working with companies that are charging less than $1,000 for a 360, because she had to have a markup as well, obviously. But we passed. I would have loved to help her out, but there's just no way that we would, I guess, metaphorically get off the couch and schedule staff and have put things together for $1,000. It's just not something I'm willing to do.
Also beyond that, I also want to talk about, so this is when I first started, I used to bounce depending on my mood that day, depending on how I felt, depending on how full or not full my calendar was, I would be very flexible. I would just throw out numbers based on like, if I wanted to work that day or not. And the problem with that is, even though LA is a huge market, it's a very small world. Like like planners and all these people that work together and your clients that book you. It's such a small world that day that you decide you want to heavily discount your booth, it goes around. Like someone else is going to be like, wait, why did they sell that booth for a few $100s and they sold me this same booth for over $1,000? So you have to factor in that if you're going to start pricing low, word is going to get around that you are charging some people a different amount than others. And that's something that because of my reputation and a lot of my work is based on referrals, that's not something that I want pricing all over the map. I want it pretty steady. I mean, there's going to be, of course, variances. Like if we're loading into like SoFi, I mean, that just takes so much more of your time. There's going to be a cost for that load in. I mean, because a 2-hour load in at SoFi just is not going to be sufficient. So we have to add to that event. And that's something we communicate. But I don't like the term worth getting off my couch, because that sounds very like, I don't like that term, but we all should have an amount that it's not worth it, not because it's not worth it because you're too good. It's not worth it because if you get up for less than that, you're actually charging less than what you know what I mean? Like you're at a deficit. You're actually paying to go to work. I'm definitely not going to pay to go to work, So
yeah, I agree. I think getting off the couch is a negative connotation to the whole, to that
you
whole
can see it
perspective.
But that's the stuff that we see on Facebook. So I thought we should talk about it. But and then so that's the bonus hack, right? That's the misnomer, is guys who've just started, they're not even working that much to begin with. They have that $2,000 price tag because, I have this the same booth that they do. I bought it from this person and they're using that same booth. But you have the same booth, but your businesses aren't the same, and people misconstrue that. And that's my point. So and there's levels, and it's very, very simple. You see this in corporate. I teach this all the time. So this is the same in the clothing world or in the car world. I mean, there's just 3 different demographics. And that's the reason. A good example of this is with cars. You have a Scion, you have a Toyota, and you have a Lexus. But guess what? It's all made by the same company. Why? Why did they do that? Because they market that to 3 different demographics. When you're dealing with planners, SoFi, you're in that Lexus, almost Ferrari level, right? Or maybe in the Ferrari level, because the guy who does the backyard parties is not going to go to SoFi. It's not even a question, and they have.
And if they do, I mean, it's not that it's not a question, because it does come up where someone who only does backyard parties suddenly gets dropped the opportunity to do SoFi. And what ends up happening is it ends up being way beyond
the scope. They don't understand what's involved, the load, insurance, the time, the teams. SoFi is one of those, you guys know I do stadium events, and going to stadium events is like going to the airport with all my equipment. I mean, they literally want to pat me down, walk me through the metal detectors, look through every piece of my
it's worse than going to the airport.
Yeah. And especially during the playoffs. Everything. Like that line and that time double, like two
They're not that bad with me, but
2 hours prior is now 4 hours prior.
So you guys keep saying SoFi. For those of us that aren't SoCal, what is SoFi?
SoFi is the stadium.
Newly built
football
stadium that they
beautiful, gorgeous stadium. But I'm not a sports fan, but the events that we've seen there is football, and maybe do they do concerts there?
They do concerts there, and
private parties without game day.
Yeah. It would be
essentially just a stadium.
Beautiful stadium. Yeah.
Vegas building a new stadium. I don't know. Did they build a new stadium for the Raiders?
Yeah.
They did.
And it is beautiful as well. Like if you love that kind of thing, take a tour.
State of the art.
Incredible.
And they have a nightclub there, and I know that. But if you go do that event, they want you there 4 hours early, and when you go through, it's metal detectors left and right.
And the
metal
parking, oh gosh, I can't even start on the parking. Oh gosh.
ridiculous. You pretty much have to have a golf cart to bring everything in because they won't even let you get close to the loading dock of the building. So it's stuff like that. But you have to think about it. It's like if Coca-Cola wanted to do an activation, you can offer $99. The price is great, but they're still not going to hire you because it's based on your portfolio and your marketing and your reputation. And if what you do doesn't fit their brand, the price doesn't matter at all. And I think you know that, Jason, because that's how we started talking. Because you have an episode where you actually had two different websites with two different prices going on at the same time. I don't think anybody's gone to that. That's how I know you're meticulous. To that level, to build out two complete websites, to put two different prices, to do A/B testing on whether right.
It was effective though, and that is how I started. And I think I've spoken about it on the podcast in the past. So I did start with two different companies, and eventually I did away with one.
What happened? Tell them. Was it about price? It wasn't about price.
It wasn't about price. I don't think I think maybe there was one time, but pretty much never did the same people reach out to both companies. Because the people that have it's a different demographic, and the demographic that's shopping for $1,000, $2,000 photo booth isn't reaching out to companies that have $300 photo booths marked on their website.
So,
although there's plenty of $300 customers reaching out to $2,000 companies, thinking that they can get
it
it
for
that.
Exist, but I didn't see them. I did it for a year, and I'm pretty sure only one client mix reached out to both companies for a quote just one time. So it was really eye-opening in that respect.
So which company got it?
So the more expensive company didn't book very many jobs at all. It was a brand new company, so it didn't have the reputation or the portfolio to be charging a higher rate. Like it was I looked at all the photo booth companies in town and ultimately decided, like, if I'm not going to be the cheapest, then I might as well be the most expensive, because if you're shopping by price, you have to be the cheapest, or else, you're not going to get the job. So I set myself above the highest price company that I could find in town. And the other one was the standard, like 3-hour booth, I think was like $375, which was in my research was pretty on par with the subprime companies in town at the time, which is probably like a $600 booth now with the economy changing,
right?
And
that
things
had
like
been
that.
Like 10 years ago that you did that.
Yeah, like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So the cheaper company did quite a bit better. I think I only booked like 8 jobs with the more expensive company throughout that year. And what's funny is, the smaller company or the cheaper company was so successful that I continually raised the prices until, now I am that cheaper company charging far more than I charged with the expensive company back then.
Right.
So the evolution
is
just
building your brand. It's not about just throwing out a price there. It's about building your brand. And you can't ask for the Ferrari price or the Lexus price when you haven't established yourself. You can only do that when you're already established and you can turn down. So that is my bonus hack. I always say it.
And coincidentally, I am I keep saying I'm starting. It's been like 8 months that I've been starting. I haven't launched yet, but I am starting another photo booth company to capture some of the lower price market, because we get tons of leads because we've been at this for so long. And there are a lot of them that are looking for the cheaper photo booth companies. And we're in a unique position where Smash Booth already pays for all the staff. It already pays for the office and the equipment and all of those things. So that we do have the ability to charge like $600 for a photo booth and still be profitable. But I don't want to do that under Smash Booth, because that would tarnish my brand's reputation. So we're starting another company that can capture those $600 to $800
So that goes
photo
back
booths.
to the cars, right? Scion, Toyota,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Lexus, and you don't want to be the Lexus selling at a Scion price. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
or the other way
How are
around.
you
Very
planning?
important.
How are you planning to manage that for the holiday season if you do grow that side, Jason? Because that's
It
something
won't
that,
exist. I mean, obviously, we're
yeah,
not going to be putting out equipment, and maybe it will exist, but as a white label because we're like we don't want to worry about getting bad reviews. I mean, I don't want to say hipster because they have such a bad reputation, but that's kind of a
uh,
familiar model that we're going for, like something that we could very easily just white label if we're already full, and we don't have to worry about the brand reputation and things like that. So,
Right. It's
white labeling in December is not possible though. That's a miracle to be able to find
I
white
agree, but
labels
there's
in
newer
December.
companies that are looking for gigs and stuff, but that's fine. Like we don't have a lot of leads that we're throwing away in December, because there are so many high dollar jobs that are willing to
Yeah,
pay. But in the summertime, we don't want to compromise our prices, but at the same time, we're only like we did something like 65 jobs in 2 weeks in December last year, but we did like I don't know 30 jobs the entire summer. So it's
yeah.
the summers are very difficult. So if we could pick up jobs for $600 or $800 and keep our summers full without compromising the Smashbook
And then
brand,
that's the
then
one
that's
thing I
what we
also
want to do.
want to teach. The tip for people who are listening or just starting who haven't gone through full cycles is June and July are predominantly slow. I think it's because people are out of town. But what we do is seasonal, right? Obviously, during New Year's and Christmas, a lot of companies are looking for photo booths. Not so much in June or July. Of course, we did.
I'm really busy in May and June. May and June are like my
Of course,
peak.
graduation, right, and
Yeah,
prom.
baby showers.
But right after
Yeah.
A
that,
lot of
I
corporate
think a
stuff
lot of people
happening.
go on. But I'm just looking at the stats from our past. We expect June or July to be a lot slower than December. Now, what happens when I think February through June is actually in season. I think that's
It's really good
considered
for us
wedding
for
season and
the
graduation
marketing side of
season
things.
and homecomings and things like that. So
California has a not. I don't feel like we have an out. I don't feel like we have a season where where we don't have events. I feel like California is constantly having events
yeah, rain and
where
snow
we're
are
at.
not an issue for Californians.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the only month that I would say we're kind of slow is maybe January, but I'm hearing a lot of companies that are used to doing their parties in December, their holiday parties, they're starting to move them to January. So January might start getting busy.
Costco predominantly does that.
There's a few. I'm hearing a few companies are moving that direction because they're struggling. I mean, the 7th and the 14th for us, like forget about it, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of looking at, we already do a little bit of traveling, not a lot, like 10 to 15 jobs per year. And we're looking to actively expand that in 2025 because right now it's just like current clients that use us in Vegas want to keep using us other places, but we want to start actually marketing to a few cities. And we've been researching to kind of isolate which cities we want to do that in based on several factors that we put together. And surprisingly, nowhere in California met our qualifications. So
What?
It's been a while since you've been to Cal.
That's wild. That's
Big time or something.
That's wild.
California wild, Jason. What's going on?
But I mean, everyone has different qualifications. Like I want things that are places
I
that
get it. We just don't meet your qualifications.
California does not meet the Smash Booth qualifications. It doesn't have
That's
the Smash
wild.
factor. But
Wow.
I'm sure it's great. But I have like if we're going to be traveling, we want places that are cheaper, that are easy to travel in, that doesn't have a lot of traffic and issues with parking. Like if you go to do a job, we've done jobs in LA, and you have to park like half a mile away. I don't want to deal with any of that.
Welcome to
We've had to
SoFi
shuttle.
Stadium. There you go.
Yeah, so we're looking for places that are much easier, and maybe we'll look at those things later when we're more experienced in traveling. But when we're dipping our toe in it, we want places that have very productive summers, a lot of trade shows, but also on the lower end of cost for traveling to hotels. They have to have airports and parking.
That's because you only stay at
traffic, things
5-star
like
hotels.
yeah.
That's why. You can't
Well,
go
we try
up.
to stay where the shows are. It's funny because like every time we travel, shows aren't in convention centers. I'm sure they are, but like not for us. And in Vegas, like everything's in a convention center. Like there's never an expo in a hotel. It's unheard of. But like every time we go to like Orlando, or it's always in some hotel. So we do try to stay at the hotel. So we just have to take the elevator down to the showroom floor, and that's really nice.
More convenient. Yeah. But parking in LA is wild. Like I can't believe there's companies that charge so little, because we've had parking fees, like $75, $125 per car. Yeah. It's insane.
And don't forget the gaff tape. Yeah. Walking back sucks.
Yeah, it's insane. Like we did a job there, and it's like on some rooftop for some it's like quasi B-list celebrity or D-list celebrity event, and we went and we got a parking spot, and we were leaving, and we saw a sign that said the parking garage closed at 10. So we asked the attendant, and we're like, so what does that mean? And they're like, that's what it means. It closes at 10. Like, but the event doesn't close until 1. Like, well, you could get your car tomorrow. Like,
oh my gosh.
This is LA?
This is where? Okay, this is in LA. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, you could go over here and that hotel may let you park, but they're only going to be open till 1. So if that event, like, you need to be out of there at 1. So if it ends at 1, you still won't be able to get your car out. And
crazy.
Like, how do people do events here? I couldn't understand. So we couldn't park there. We went and loaded our equipment back into the car, and we drove around for like 40 minutes trying to find someplace to park.
Uber in. You guys take an Uber in. We've had to be shuttled in before. We get shuttled into some events because there's no parking. Yeah,
we don't want those cities. We don't want like crazy obstacles that we didn't plan for. We want very easy transitions. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Coming to a city near you, hopefully.
Watch out.
That's the plan.
No, it's cool. I'm on the welcoming committee. Anybody that comes through LA, we always want to at least meet up with them and have a meal. Like Velasco came through LA. Remember that? And Jason came through LA. So anybody out of town coming in, give me a call. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll take you out for at least a meal.
Yeah, in fact, I think when I went down there for that event, I'm pretty sure we did have lunch when I went for that.
Yeah, we had like Dave's Hot Chicken or something.
Yeah,
I love Dave's Hot Chicken.
Yeah. So I did get a hold of people, and that's kind of a nice thing about living in one of these cities that people travel to a lot, because we had like Jonathan stopped in the office the other day and hung out with me for a while, and Art is coming in on Monday, and Alan Berg is coming on Sunday, so just a couple days, and he's going to come over. So I get to see a lot of these industry people all the time, and they come to the office and hang out, or else we go and have dinner.
Yeah, Vin dropped by in the middle of a podcast one day. That was unexpected. Like, wait a minute.
Recording, and just popped his head in behind me. So, yeah. Vegas is cool for that. A lot of people come in here for work.
So Rex, for your YouTube channel, like, are there any stories that you can share of anybody that has just like it has changed their business because they were able to get tutorials from you? Like, have you had anybody come back to you with like a crazy story of just like how you were able to help them?
Feedback? Do people talk to you?
No crazy stories, but a couple of really good success stories. I would just give them techniques to work on, and I give it to them, right? And there's no question. And it's not gatekeeping. They want to know, I tell them, and then it just always makes me proud to see them succeed. There's no hate. There's no jealousy. I love to see people succeed. That's part of why I do what I do. They're like, man, I followed your video and I watched it like 3 times and I finally got it. And I was like, yay, and that's why I do what I do. Yes, I get paid off the channel, but if you actually saw the check, it's not really a whole lot. It might buy me lunch, honestly. I think to make it as an influencer, you'd have to be like Mr. Beast. You have to be in the millions. And I have nowhere near that
especially for Photo Booth. I'd say it's safe to say that anyone that is providing free information in the photo booth space is doing it out of passion, because if there's any monetizing.
But there are a lot of manufacturers and developers that do support me. They see the value in what I do, and I want to shout them out. They know who they are, and I appreciate and I love them so much. For helping along with the journey and the struggle. It really is. To get up every day, to get in the studio, to edit, to record, to script, to write, to film. The whole 9.
A lot of work.
It is a lot
of work.
It is a lot of work.
I mean, we don't do the editing that you do, but I know sometimes me and Jason like have scheduling conflicts because we're trying to manage like our
Kids,
events and
school, work, home, broken. Sometimes you have just one thing. Well, like I have to drop off my car. My dishwasher's not working. You just sit there and they don't show up. It's like, dude, how do these guys make money? What if we didn't just show up?
Yeah.
But what's really awesome is like when someone reaches out, it's like, hey, Lap, I saw you and Jason's pod and it helped me like, shake up how I do things. Like I think that's really amazing when like something that we discuss, in one of our pods helps somebody. I think that's really amazing. Like
Exactly.
they don't
Right?
have
Yeah.
they didn't have that conversation or they didn't have that perspective, and then listening to us, they were able to like kind of like a light bulb with certain things, like a light bulb clicks and they're like, okay, that makes sense. So they are able to approach their business a little bit different, because that's how I grew with these conversations, except we weren't posting anything, like
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
random
And
conversations
that's
with
why I love
a whole
PX.
bunch of yeah.
Last year you told me to do that, and I started doing it, and you don't know until a year later, and so
Yeah.
that's the success story, is to see people succeed, whether it's figuring out something technical or something on the sales and marketing side, and it clicks.
And it's crazy because sometimes it's just one sentence. It's one little thing that you say and it just changes their entire business. It's really wild, like how that one piece of knowledge can help somebody,
Yeah.
because that's exactly how it worked for me. I know it's just little bits of pieces of information that I was able to pick up with, conversations with all the different boothers that I've come in contact with, and it helped transform and shape my business. So yeah.
Yeah, and I got that from Alan Berg. You go to he's rock star speaker. You go to WNBA or WPA, PBX. He's got 500 in a room, and the one topic that always comes up is, what do I do? This guy is so cheap, or he's killing the industry. And his answer was simply this: there's always going to be somebody cheaper than you, and you don't need to pay attention to that. And this is like,
Yeah.
ding.
Yeah.
Who
That
cares?
was
Who cares what they're doing? Who cares what
yeah.
the costs are? You only
When you're new, you're very aware of everything that everybody around you is doing. And then as you
Right.
start to find your way in your own business, your own path, because I know that was something I was guilty of when I first started. I did not there was a lot that you don't understand until you understand, like when I was new, I didn't understand how these companies were winning, these huge contracts with these, corporate clients. And I was just like, how are they doing that? And in my mind, I was just thinking, I could do that. I had no idea I couldn't do that until I did it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because it looks easy until you're actually in it and you realize it actually does take a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. So once you do learn and you grow and you become seasoned in the industry, you don't pay attention because you realize like
you're too
you have your
busy
own
doing your own
clientele.
thing. You don't blame
Yeah.
people for lower prices, but you can.
You gotta blame yourself.
Right? Yeah.
Blame yourself for lower
Yeah.
prices and start
Yeah.
reassessing your
A lot of
business.
times
Yeah.
you just
Reassessing
expect
your
that everyone's
pricing.
lying as well. Like in the groups when I first started and I was charging $350 and I saw people posting that they were charging $1,200 or $1,500, I just assumed that everyone was lying and inflating their
Yeah.
numbers and bragging and
No,
stuff.
they're not.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I
some
realize that
probably
now.
are.
Some
Some probably
certainly.
are.
No,
Let's
some
be
have
real.
to be-
Some probably are. But for the most part, people aren't really telling you that to brag. Like in my experience now, looking back, I see that a lot of people are sharing that just because they want you to understand that there is so much more opportunity out there than you even realize. Like I couldn't see past my 175, 125, 350 range. I couldn't see past that. But once I realized there's people out there making tons more, it drove me to try to learn to be where they're at, and that gave
Right.
me that drive that I needed. So there, like I know there's a lot of people, and I was one of them. I'm guilty of that. I was one of those people that was just like, oh my god, they're just bragging, it's bullshit, like stop bragging about your numbers. And it's not really people. I'm sure they brag too, there's a hint of bragging too, but I think it's mostly like, for me, when I share anything with pricing, because I rarely talk about it, when I share, it's usually because I want to motivate people to be like, you know what, there's a bigger cut out there than you even realize, like way more
You're
than you
selling
realize.
yourself short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I rarely talk about my numbers, but when I do, I want to
It's
motivate
staggering
you
to
to.
people for them to
I don't often.
understand that. Like,
Also, there
the
was a
same
post
booth,
recently where someone
not the
asked
booths. It's
what
not
people
the
were
booth.
making per year, and Min specifically answered, and he said that last year they
He's
did
very open.
900,000, but it was met
What
with
did he say?
like 900,000.
Okay.
So, but it was met with disbelief. People are saying there's no way that you're doing that, and you know, obviously he's not going to defend himself or present big
Can I do a
statements.
shameless plug by any
But
chance?
what's that?
Can I do a shameless plug?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plug it.
So if you go to my YouTube channel, Rex's Photo Booth Reviews and Tutorials, I actually interviewed a company. It was Thomas Praxidis of Stay Golden, and he said he had the receipts. He wants you to challenge him. He was doing 700,000 a year last year, and he's beyond that this year. And he let me look at his whole operation. He told me he was using check cherry. You walk into his warehouse, he had 30 cubicles of the same exact booth ready to go on any one night. I mean, you're talking about a company that can do 30 events in one night. I mean, people don't go and buy 30 booths if you're not doing, 6, almost 7 figures. So he's
Yeah, definitely.
the type of guy that says, come and check me because I have the receipts. And
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like at one point in your career, all this is not, it's not something you can fathom. At one point in your career, when you're starting, you cannot even comprehend that concept. But there's a lot of people in our industry, that are making 6, 7 figures. And they're not bragging about it, but they're doing it because they know what they're talking about. Like you usually, I mean, when you've been doing this as long as you have, when you talk to other owners, you know who's really doing well. You know what I mean? And there's plenty. For anybody out there that's like struggling to like book one event a month, that was me at one time, but it's not me today. And it's not, I never imagined being able to be as successful as I am.
So what was
but
the switch for
6 figures?
What clicked? What did somebody tell you that made you go from 350 to 700?
You guys, it's not one thing that makes you transform your business. It's having, and we talk about this a lot on our podcast, it's about having the open mind of not being stationary. If you are stuck, if you stay stuck where you're at, where when someone gives you advice, and there's a lot of people, guys, there's a lot of people on the boards that are giving you free, valuable advice every single day. And there's a lot of responses, and how you take that piece of knowledge is going to shape how well your business is. So there was a time in my career where I was like offended by it. Like, oh my God, that person is bragging about their, and that this person is talking about raising their prices again. My territory can't handle a price increase. So for me, it was always negative. Like any advice was given to me, I automatically shut it down.
Yeah.
My business did not grow. And as time passed and the market was growing, my company stayed the same, which means I was losing money, because if I'm charging the same every single year, $350 every year, I'm losing money, right? The moment that I opened up my mind and started actually being responsive and like, not responsive, but like receptive to the information that was being shared with me. And like, actually, sometimes you fight it. Like for at least 2 or 3 years, there was several people that was coming at me like, Lap, raise your freaking prices, many people. And for that 2 years, I was like resistant. No, I can't. My market can't. I'm in LA, you guys. My market is Rex is in LA too. Like, it's very competitive. But when you sit there and say that your market can't support it, you're setting your own ceiling for yourself. It's not even your customer. You're setting it for yourself. So if you don't believe you can charge more.
These are value bombs that she's spitting out, guys. Do not cap yourself. Do not.
So just be open to like hearing the advice, and to learn and to grow. And it's not like it's not scary, you guys. Like when I think I doubled or tripled my rates overnight, and I lost all this was crazy to me at the time, but I lost all of my clients, and I thought I was going to shut my doors and go bankrupt because I just had people laugh. It's very scary. But, when you're able to like you have all these, that's what I love about our industry is like we have so many people around us supporting us and encouraging us. I wanted to give up because I was like, nobody's booking me. And I cried. I thought I was going to shut. And, you have your support, you have our industry of friends that keeps, encouraging you, and you keep moving forward. And all it took was that one client to book me. And everything
Changed.
everything, yeah, everything changed from that. So you just need that one right client, and it goes from there. It might be a slow moving transition, but I mean, I think I did that transition like in year 4, and I
All right.
never would have imagined
Yeah.
being here,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're a
Take
great
that
example
advice
of it,
from-
and I love how open you are, and
I'm not normally open. The podcast has made me very
and I want
open.
to,
Yeah.
before you were a star on Pro Booth Talk, you did come and share at my conference, right? Photo Booth Biz Conference. You were the first speaker. Remember?
That was horrible.
Remember? And you came and you
Jason, Rex had an open bar.
Oh
I
my!
told him, don't put me on first because I'm a lightweight. I had one drink.
I had to
Oh
put her
my
on first.
gosh, that was
I waited any
horrible.
longer. I don't know. She might not have made it to the mic.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
Please tell me there's a recording of this.
Oh
no,
yeah.
do not share that.
I have.
Do not share that.
Go to Rex's Photo Booth Reviews
Do not.
and look up.
Do not.
She was the
Yes.
first speaker, and
So I'm a horrible public speaker. So the podcast, I think I've gotten, Jason, right? Like, I think I've gotten a lot better.
It helps,
she came
yeah.
out of her shell.
No, but yeah, I was a horrible.
But
Public
one-on-one, she's great. If you guys see her at PBX, do not hesitate to go say hi, take a selfie with her, introduce her. She's a very valuable resource. I've heard her speak. I've heard her on the show, and she spits great game. So don't
Thanks.
be afraid. So you could become the selfie queen.
Yeah, definitely don't be afraid of Lap. She
doesn't bite. Her bark is not worse than her bite. Yeah.
Like she is truly flattered every time someone benefits from this podcast, and maybe like stepping on our own trust here. But I could tell you, whenever someone reaches out and says something kind about something that she said, she like immediately screenshots it and sends it to me, and it means a lot to her. So like, don't be afraid of Lap or
yourself.
Sometimes be afraid of me.
Sometimes be afraid. Like at PBX, if it's too early in the morning, tread carefully.
Bark worse.
Like before two, don't.
Make sure there's eye contact first. If she is avoiding eye contact, and she hasn't got her coffee yet.
You guys, I'm out late, okay? So I'm out till like 4 a.m. So like before 2, I'm not quite awake yet. So don't.
See the coffee in their hand, then that's kind of a sign you can approach her.
You guys are so scary.
You're
making me sound so scary.
Anybody listening knows that you're not scary. They're not. I mean, listen to that laughter.
That's funny, guys.
But anyways, keep falling off of topic, but that's great. It's a good conversation. That's how conversations, I guess, should flow. But you mentioned a shameless plug, and I just wanted to come back to that really quick, because this entire episode is a shameless plug. We appreciate that you're out there giving education, and we want to make sure that people know that you're doing it and where to go and find that. So certainly don't be shy about telling us where that education is and what it is and where people can find it. Who is that education for? Of course, it's for everybody, but who would you say is your demographic? Who's your biggest market of who you're educating?
Yeah, originally when I started, it was just fellow peers. I would figure out something out in software, and then they would ask me, and then some people would gatekeep, and it was like, hey, you didn't answer my question. And so I just, I helped somebody, I record it, I post it. So initially it was for my peers. They're my friends. We see them at PBX all the time. But as it's evolved, there's a lot of new boothers coming up. So I started, I'm going to be doing more, and I've done seminars here in the office, but I'm going to be doing more seminars, more conferences, maybe even do like a photo booth university, but focus also or implementing the business. Because I think that's one thing, because there's a lot of like accountants and blue collar workers that just are into the photo booth, but nobody ever talks, besides for you guys, right? Really talk about the business of the photo booth. Like, what is a business plan and what should be in your business plan, demographics, marketing, advertising, and then execution, analytics, SEO, all of that. So I would say for new boothers, if you're already established, then you'll probably benefit from watching one of my reviews or my interviews when I go to a trade show. Hey, this is the newest sketchbot or robot that's out, or glambot, whatever that's new. Those are the trends, and you watch it like that. But if you're really interested in learning, it's focused on I wouldn't say newbies, but just new entrepreneurs coming into the business, so they can avoid the pitfalls that I've made. I made thousands.
That we all made.
I used to buy every single app come out because I wanted to play with everything, and there's stuff still sitting in my closet, sitting in the package still, that I have. I know you're guilty of that too, Lau.
Yeah.
You have so
I
many
think we all
toys
are.
that you can't get to all of it, but you just want to try. And so I want to be able to keep recording and share my experiences with that, and also teach more one-on-one, and just see eyes light up. I love to see eyes light up. They're like, you can print from an iPad? Yeah, you can. There's many ways to do it, and so those are the things that I discovered that I want to share with other boothers. I don't care if you're an established professional or if you're just starting a new business, but just for the community, for the photo booth community, because it is very small.
I think education helps our entire community too. The more each one of us knows, the easier it is for us to move our industry forward. I feel like that's
absolutely, and it keeps developers on their toes. Like, what? These guys have AI? Oh, now we need to do AI. Or these guys do 360? Now we need to do 360. And
competition is good in that respect.
Copying or being complimentary. It's just moving with the trends. It's just moving with the trends. So
always pushing. And if we can help new companies charge more, then that also helps us to continue charging more as well. It rises the entire
We need
industry.
to continue to raise the bar, for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier you had what was it, 46,000?
Yeah, I have one video with 46,000 views, and that was pretty much my motivation to keep going.
Was that iPad printing? You've mentioned that also a couple times. I'm curious what that was.
36,000. The video.
Wow.
The print hacks, right? Because I know you guys know how to print from your iPad, but I've done it with iPad.
But we try not to.
iPad to PC. I've done it with the DMP WCM. I've done it with the Aircast. I've done it with the MacBook Pro. I can do it wireless. I could do it wired. I could do it without internet. I could do it with dongles. I could do it without dongles. So, just photo booth nerd, I guess. I just had to try, just figure it all out, sitting here in my office by myself, and then figure it out. Like, look what I found. And it's kind of,
it's what we do in our offices. We just don't have, we're just not recording everything.
You practice a lot, right? We all practice as a professional.
Yeah.
You should get down what you have before you take it out, before you rent it. I mean,
So you're like doing the R&D for a lot of these companies so that they don't have to do it themselves.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's great.
Because it doesn't bother me if you can do it too, because you still need to market it and you still need to sell it. And that's the other part that a lot of people are missing. Just because you have the equipment and the know-how doesn't mean that you're going to succeed. It has to be all encompassing.
Yeah, the R&D is always so
time consuming.
It is.
Yeah, and it's funny. My father was in town a couple weeks ago, and he came over to my office, and our warehouse is attached, and I have an R&D desk with a whiteboard in front of it, and my tool crib and whatnot. And he just looked at the whiteboard for 15 seconds and said, "Well, I guess that all means something, doesn't it?"
R&D is research. I know there's some people that might not know R&D is research and development, guys. That's like trying out new software, hardware, figuring out workflows, figuring out connections, figuring out how your photo booth works. For anybody, innovative stuff like trying new. like trying out light painting or mosaic. That's what R&D is, like trying out new concepts and new
even
experiences.
just practice.
Yeah, and
I know early
Yeah.
on
Yep.
you were big
Streamlining
with
stuff.
BAM.
And my whiteboard is just scribbles and notes and brainstorming, and he just tried to make sense of it. And of course, being outside the industry, it just
Yeah.
guess that
'Cause
all
we're
means
all over the
something.
place. Yeah. When I R&D, it's like 5 different projects at once. So you look at my desk and you have no idea. It just looks like a big old pile of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, my whiteboard I get a marker and I'll like make a little section. Don't let that spill off into the other area of.
Yes. I do the same, man. That's funny.
Anyways, so this is going to be published on the 29th of January, so just a couple weeks before PBX. All three of us will be at PBX. Like we've already mentioned, feel free to say hello unless it's too early in the morning. Steer clear of lap. But otherwise, we'll be out and about. We'll be at the different bars and several different parties. I hope Erica does another karaoke. That was a lot of fun last year. So yeah, reach out, man. Like, say hi, buy us a drink. Any closing thoughts, Rex?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I just want to say I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the community. People don't realize you're not getting paid. It's not like you have a boss. You turn around and it's, CNNBC or MSNBC or whatever. You guys are doing this for the community and to support. So go down below. I'm not adverse to saying this. Go down below and hit a like button for the Pro Photo Booth Talk podcast. I know this is your second round, and I hope it becomes even bigger and better for you guys. And you guys are total rock stars. And like you said, go to PBX, guys. It's you. If you've never been before, you have to go at least one time in your career. And in the future, you can make it every other year if you want. It's truly.
You should be going every year, you guys. You should be going every year, not every other year.
Truly neat experience, and make sure you go to Monday after dark and Laps karaoke get together, which is really awesome.
Those are fun, even if you don't like to karaoke.
And if you see,
I don't karaoke, and it was a blast. I had a great time.
It's okay. We had tacos. We had tacos in the back.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Like pool tables. Yeah.
And if you see me, let's just take a selfie. Introduce yourself. Yeah. I don't bite. And then check out my channel on YouTube, Rex's Photo Booth Reviews and Tutorials. Cool.
Thanks for joining us. And also, just to follow up on what Lap said and what you said, Rex, some people do go every other year, but I promise you, on their off years, they're on Facebook writing their FOMO and mentioning how much they wish they were there. So trust me, you want to be there every year.
Absolutely. You'll get hooked. And you'll become part of the family.
Because if you're in the Facebook groups, that's all you're going to see on Facebook for those 3 or 4 days. Every single person that you talk to on Facebook is going to be at PBX, and they're either going to not be responding because they're at PBX, or else they're going to be posting photos at PBX, and you're going to wish that you would have gone.
That happened at PBX UK. That happened at PBX UK. Everybody had FOMO because they didn't go. You see, guys?
I didn't. I'm glad I didn't go.
No, it was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we have to do an episode about that. We have to catch up. I want to know about the UK. I haven't made the cross the pond yet, but I will.
You got to go to Amsterdam next year.
Okay.
You have to.
All right.
Yeah, you have to.
All right.
Yeah.
Make
All
it a point.
Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you in a couple weeks at PBX.
Bye, guys.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.